Good afternoon. Welcome to Tribune News on Q, your go-to afternoon news source only here at Daily Tribune. We're live on Daily Tribune's Facebook page, Daily Tribune PH on YouTube, and at Daily Tribune Official on TikTok. For today's headlines, Vice President Sara Duterte slammed the prioritization of personal interest by politicians over national welfare, maintaining a firm stance that international criminal court warrants have no legal standing on Philippine soil. Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa said Wednesday that his earlier decision to join former President Rodrigo Duterte in The Hague, Netherlands has changed. The Armed Forces of the Philippines reported Tuesday that 35 Chinese vessels were monitored in several features in the West Philippine Sea from 4 to 11 May. The Department of Agriculture has imposed a temporary ban on the importation of live animals and animal products from Greece due to cases of foot and mouth disease in the European country. The Armed Forces of the Philippines on Tuesday rejected the use of dehumanizing language in discussing deaths from the recent encounter in Toboso, Negros Occidental. The Visayas grid is expected to operate on thin power reserves during evening peak hours after the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines placed the grid under yellow alert. Memphis Grizzlies forward Brandon Clark has died. The team, his agency, and the NBA said Tuesday he was 29. SB19 is set to have an hour-long set at the Lollapalooza Music Festival's Alliance stage. Today is May 13, 2026, Wednesday, and I'm Chynna Basillaje bringing you today's top stories. Let's get started. Vice President Sara Duterte slammed the prioritization of personal interest by politicians over national welfare, maintaining a firm stance that international criminal court warrants have no legal standing on Philippine soil. Speaking in an interview during her visit to The Hague, the Vice President expressed disappointment over what she perceived as a breach of interagency respect. This statement follows a chaotic scene on 11th of May where National Bureau of Investigation agents attempted to block Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa from entering the Senate plenary. And Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa said Wednesday that his earlier decision to join former President Rodrigo Duterte in The Hague, Netherlands has changed. De la Rosa said the change in stance stemmed from concerns that he would not be able to see Duterte even if he traveled to the detention site. He said detention would be acceptable if it were in the Philippines, noting that the country is no longer a member of the International Criminal Court and should not allow another country to colonize it. And the Armed Forces of the Philippines reported Tuesday that 35 Chinese vessels were monitored in several features in the West Philippine Sea from 4 to 11th of May. AFP spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad said People's Liberation Army, Navy, and China Coast Guard vessels were spotted in multiple areas during the period. 7 vessels, 1 planned vessel, and 6 CCG vessels were monitored in Ayungin Shoal. In Bajo de Masinloc, authorities monitored 17 vessels composed of 8 planned ships and 9 CCG vessels. 5 vessels, 3 planned and 2 CCG ships were spotted in Escoda Shoal, while 6 vessels, 3 planned and 3 CCG ships were monitored near the Pag-asa Islands. Meanwhile, the Department of Agriculture has imposed a temporary ban on the importation of live animals and animal products from Greece due to cases of foot and mouth disease in the European country. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. made the order through Department Circular Number 20, immediately prohibiting FMD-susceptible animals and their byproducts from Greece to protect the Philippines' livestock industry. The directive came after Greece officially reported FMD cases in domestic sheep in Lesbos on April 6. And the Armed Forces of the Philippines on Tuesday rejected the use of dehumanizing language in discussing deaths from the recent encounter in Toboso, Negros Occidental. AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla called on the public to avoid dehumanizing and disrespectful language in discussing deaths linked to armed conflict, stressing the need for responsible discourse regardless of affiliation after online posts referred to fatalities as quote-unquote corned beef. The remark came amid growing scrutiny over the deaths of 19 people in Barangay Salamanca, Toboso, where government troops clashed with individuals the military said were members of the Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army, while some groups alleged that several of those killed were civilians. Meanwhile, the Visayas grid is expected to operate on thin power reserves during evening peak hours after the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines placed the grid under yellow alert from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. In an advisory this morning, NGCP said available capacity for the Visayas grid was projected at 2,580 megawatts, while peak demand was expected to reach 2,423 megawatts. NGCP said the alert raised for the second straight day was triggered by forced outages at several power plants and high electricity demand during evening hours. Meanwhile, Memphis Grizzlies forward Brandon Clark has died, the team, his agency, and the NBA said Tuesday he was 29. Neither the Grizzlies nor Clark's agency, Priority Sports, provided any details about when, where, or how Clark died. The National Basketball Players Association said this is an incredible loss for the Brotherhood. We will remember Brandon not only for the immense joy he brought to so many throughout his career, but for the genuine friendships he built far beyond basketball. And the P-Pop Kings SB19 is gearing up to make their historic debut at Lollapalooza as they're set to have an hour-long set at the music festival's Alliance stage. The quintet's upcoming set, along with other performers, was announced by Lollapalooza, with the Damn Hit Makers confirmed to perform from 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. on July 30, 4:30 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. on July 31 in the Philippines. The announcement was also reposted on SB19's social media platforms. And Katribo, did you know on May 13, 1903, Apolinario Mabini, often referred to as the Sublime Paralytic, died of cholera in Manila at the age of 38. Mabini was most active in the revolution in 1898 when he served as the chief advisor for General Emilio Aguinaldo, and he became the president of the cabinet and secretary of foreign affairs. And now, with 1.1 million views, a user reenacted the experience of being alone and surprising himself with a new item because he feels that no one has ever surprised him with the gifts. Now, the Philippine Stock Exchange Index closed lower at midday trading today, with the PSEI down 0.68% to 5,931.39, while the All Shares Index slipped 0.65%. This is due to industrial and mining sectors posted the biggest losses. Among actively traded stocks, Jollibee Foods Corporation dropped nearly 9% to 131 pesos and 10 centavos, while International Container Terminal Services Incorporated edged up slightly. BDO Unibank and Pure Gold Price Club also gained, while Ayala Land Incorporated and Ascent Corporation posted declines in today's market recess trading. That's all for now. Join us again at 4:30 p.m. still here on Daily Tribune's Facebook page, Daily Tribune PH on YouTube, and at Daily Tribune Official on TikTok. Once again, I'm Chynna Basillaje, and this has been Tribune News on Q.